What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Carolina Barbecue Festival's 5th anniversary is almost here. Get your tickets today for the Queen City's biggest barbecue party, April 17th and 18th, Victoria Yards in Uptown Charlotte. 30 pit masters are celebrating Carolina barbecue traditions, supporting Operation Barbecue Relief, and serving you the very best barbecue. The fun starts Friday night with the kickoff and a salute to all things Charlotte barbecue. Then we all get together for Barbecue Saturday and tasting plates from 25 pitmaster stations. Tickets are going fast, especially VIP early entry. Get yours today, CarolinaBBQFest.org. Then join us April 17th and 18th for the Carolina Barbecue Festival. Today, we're talking with one of the organizations celebrating not only this year's Carolina Barbecue Festival, Barbecue Brunch, but also all of the Charlotte restaurants and the whole food and beverage industry, because we all know those are the big reasons that people visit the Queen City, the food. Our guest is Laura White from Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, where she's been working nearly 20 years and is the current Chief Brand and Strategy Officer. Laura, welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to you. A lot of exciting stuff happening around the food scene in Charlotte. But as we get started and continue the introduction, why don't you just take a moment and tell our audience a little bit about yourself and where you are and how you got there?
Love it. Yes, I am sitting here in Uptown Charlotte as we speak. I have been in Charlotte, like you said, for the last 20 years and adore this city. I really adore the growth that we've seen, the evolution, just this kind of vibrancy that continues to happen with so much population growth. We have 157 net new people moving here every single day. So wow. Yeah, Charlotte changes a lot with each passing year, and it's kept me around, and I love getting to promote and talk about this city.
Okay, so we're going to promote and talk about the city and the good things that happen there. But first, this is a barbecue podcast, Laura. So tell me about your ideal barbecue plate. What's on it?
I know. I had to make some notes. I mean, I have some specific places in mind as well.
Sure, share them.
You know, I'll list kind of my favorites from around Charlotte, but yeah. I would have to say brisket from Midwood Smokehouse is a must for me. Definitely, I love Sweet Lou's chopped pork, the kind of Lexington style vibe there. And he has this Alabama style white sauce that is really, really yummy.
Yeah.
I love John G's To Your Hat that you have on.
Yep.
He had such a great presence at the barbecue festival last year. I feel like there was such a line to get to sample his stuff. So I feel like he's great, even though it's a little bit of a jaunt in Peachland. Max is tried and true. I definitely like their South Carolina mustard sauce, the gold sauce that they have, and their mac and cheese is pretty stellar too. So I'd say a combination of those different places would make up my perfect plate.
Yeah, wow, that sounds like a perfect plate and a great lineup. We'll talk more about barbecue. First, let's talk about brunch, and specifically barbecue brunch. The Charlotte Barbecue Festival's barbecue brunch is March 28th from 11 to 3 at Town Brewing in Charlotte. Chefs and pitmasters are collaborating for 6 tasting stations. And Laura, we know that event's part of Savor Charlotte this year. Well, what is Savor Charlotte?
Savor Charlotte is really a free-form celebration of all things culinary here in Charlotte. And so we know we have so many brilliant chefs and restaurateurs, bakers, brewers, pitmasters, all of the like. And so we don't want to necessarily box them into a fixed price menu or necessarily some kind of exclusive offer. We want them to really dream up what is the event, the class, the happening that you want to create that really showcases what you can do and what you can't do any other time of year.
Yeah, it sounds like a kind of a unique concept. It's really putting a nice spotlight across everybody in the Charlotte region, a lot of people anyway. How did this get started?
Definitely. We are in our 4th year, which is so hard to believe. You know, it takes a lot of time for concepts like this to take root that aren't so specific, right? We've got interactive offerings like classes. We've got, you know, exclusive offers and menus. So the fact that it is so freeform makes it hard to message, if you can imagine. And
Yeah.
so I think in year 4, it's really taken root, and we've had such enthusiasm from the culinary community and dreaming up really awesome events like what you just mentioned. I cannot wait to try out brisket and biscuits and see what's cooking up there, because there is such an amazing lineup of pitmasters and chefs participating.
Yeah, for sure. And I know the Improper Pig's got a cool sauce and a drink mix kind of set up, as well as what's going on at the Goodyear House. And they've got a bunch of chefs getting together for a big backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
You said it's been going about 4 years. How do you feel like it's changed from the start to where you are today? And maybe also kind of look ahead about what you'd like to try to do next year now that this one's kind of planned and in process.
Yeah, I think for us, it's really taken root from just offering like a $10 off X or a free appetizer in addition to your meal, to these really fantastic events and classes and just happenings, chef collabs, things like this. Like, Biscuit and Brisket is such a great collab event for us. You're bringing all of these kind of chefs and personalities together to really showcase what they love about Charlotte and showcase what they love about that type of cuisine. And so for us, it's really evolved in that space to make it this concentration of really cool happenings. And our goal is really to draw people from the 400-mile radius that we see they're coming to Charlotte from. So we see visitors as mainly from as far north as DC, as far south as Orlando, and as far west as Nashville, and everywhere in between. And we see 33 million visitors a year come through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more about that impact on the economy, where all those people are coming from. We're kind of based in the Hickory Metro, and I know I'm down in Charlotte for the Queen City food events down there, and coming down for some of the stuff in Savor. As I look at that schedule for Savor, anything in particular that jumps out to you? What do you want to see or you feel like is a can't miss?
Oh, yes. I mean, there's some really fun ones. We even love that attractions have gotten in on the game as well. So Discovery Place has a whole Science on the Rocks culinary themed event happening, and Mint Museum does a great taste of the mint experience with Mariposa anchored there as well. We've also partnered with Unpretentious Palate, which is such an amazing food publication in town, and so they have things like Asian sauce basics, and that is with Uncle Chef Michael Lee. And then we also are seeing kind of great brew and flavor pairings from like Resident Culture Brewing and Pilot Brewing teaming up. So like I said, it's so good to see like other restaurants teaming up with one another, and you have these great collaborations that are really inspired that we don't get to see oftentimes at various times of the year.
Yeah, and I mentioned the Goodyear House and the Built on Hospitality team kind of bringing a whole bunch of chefs in there and having something really cool for a big backyard cookout. It's neat that you've got those attractions in there too, because I don't think of the Discovery Place as a food location, but it sounds like maybe that gives a chance to get some other outside the restaurant world, other food and beverage type operations into the scene as well.
Exactly. There's just so many ways to kind of embrace this culinary message. And, with things like Michelin, which I know we'll talk about, and Top Chef filming here, it's really put a spotlight on our culinary scene like we've never seen before. It's been unprecedented to see us make our mark and how much visibility and exposure that we're generating. But back to that chef crafted barbecue at Goodyear House, that's going to be stellar with Andre Keffer from Custom Shop. You've got Sam Dominich from Restaurant Constance, Vince Giancarlo from Mi Carino. It's going to be epic. So that's definitely one to mark on the calendar on Thursday, March 26th.
For sure. And then a couple days later is going to be the big barbecue brunch. So that's a really barbecue foodie type week for the Savor as it wraps up there at the end of the month. And of course, the barbecue brunch, just get a load of some of these names. You're right. We'll talk about that Charlotte food scene and how it's cooking so much right now. But if you're a foodie in the region, you'll probably recognize some of these that we know. Chef Chris Rajinsky from Supperland in Lilloya Hall.
Yes.
Chef Chris Coleman from the Goodyear House and Built on Hospitality. There's Chef Kyle Johnson from Community Matters Cafe and the Charlotte Rescue Mission. These chefs are all teaming up with barbecue pit masters from Sweet Lou's, Southern Smoke Barbecue, Midwood Smokehouse, Fort Grove, Mama Jean's. It's all for barbecue brunch, March 28th, 11 to 3, Town Brewing Company in Charlotte. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at CarolinaBBQFest.org. You'll get tastings from 6 stations. There's live entertainment, access to some great beverages. Hey, I heard that the morning after shop's going to be there with their Bloody Mary mixes. So good. You can be there too. CarolinaBBQFest.org for tickets. Get a discount when you use the promo code Low and Slow. And obviously, everybody's going to the barbecue brunch, Laura. But let's talk a little about some of the other stuff that's going on around the Charlotte blossoming food scene. What is going on with food in Charlotte? You mentioned Top Chef. We got Michelin stars. There's beard nominees.
Yes.
What is happening?
Oh man, so much is happening. I mean, from a marketing standpoint and how we promote the city, we've really doubled down on culinary since I'd say about 2018 when we started doing a 20 by 20 booth down at Charleston Wine and Food to do some ambush marketing and really put Charlotte out there and say, Charleston's not the only food city in the Southeast. We're making moves too. And so since then, we've done a lot of efforts around takeovers in other markets where we bring 6, 7 chefs, mixologists, and take over restaurants, whether it's Greenville, Atlanta, Charleston, you name it. So we can really kind of showcase the great talent and also do a media blitz around it. So it's been a long game for us promoting culinary, but obviously we have so much all-star talent that are making a name for themselves. And so when you look at James Beard nominations historically over the last several years, and also, years back when you even kind of factor in people like Joe Kindred, who have been, 5-time nominated, and he was even a finalist in the Southeast. It's great. We have that James Beard legacy, but it's also really awesome to start seeing Michelin, come in on the act. We have a 3-year partnership with the Southeastern Guide. So 2 more years after this one where they'll be coming and inspecting Charlotte restaurants. So it was great that we were the only star in North Carolina for Counter and Sam Hart. Really, really proud of that. And then we have so many Michelin recommends on that list as well. Factor in a Bib Gourmand with Lang Von. It's really, really something.
Yeah, hearing you mention sort of your role in the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority role and that Michelin partnership, there's got to be a lot of stress on the restaurants when these people are coming and reviewing and thinking about that and all the front. Do you experience any of that same stress too, Laura?
Hey, we are here to shine a spotlight and put a megaphone out in front of our culinary community. So we want to give them those opportunities to shine. So that's what we're all about. We're that rising tide that wants to lift all of those culinary boats to help Charlotte be on that master culinary map. And man, those chefs are delivering in big, big ways. And just the Savor lineup alone really shows the creativity and really that camaraderie, like we mentioned, that you can experience in Charlotte that you don't necessarily get in other big cities or culinary communities.
Yeah, I definitely get the feel of that when I talk with Chris Coleman or Rajinsky. I'm looking at Kyle Johnson's spot here, Chef of Valor. We had him on the podcast here a few weeks ago. He's involved with a lot of stuff up in New York City and the James Beard Foundation. Just some really cool people that are delivering food. But I think they're also, as you mentioned earlier, are delivering from an economic standpoint. How is the restaurant industry sort of driving some of the economy around Charlotte?
Exactly. We know that hospitality and tourism is Charlotte's 4th largest industry, and we see 70% of those jobs being culinary related. And we also see a $9.1 billion economic impact in visitor spending each year. 25% of that is directly correlated to food and beverage spending. So we know that people are coming to dine. We also see nationally visitors are traveling with food as a primary motivator. More than 60% of travelers want to have a great dining experience when they travel and will literally plan their trips around food. I know I'm one of them. Nobody wants to have an okay meal on a vacation, right? You want to have that memorable meal, those flavors, those unique dishes that you haven't experienced yet yourself. So I think Charlotte really delivers that. And we also really have fantastic weekend getaway experiences. So yes, you can come in for a Panthers playoff game, but while you're here, you can go to Sweet Lou's, you can go to Albertine's, any of these Michelin recommends restaurants with Supperland, Ever Andalo, places like that, and have these really once in a lifetime experiences, and then go check out Charlotte, the urban sophistication we have to offer. So I think culinary really adds to Charlotte's vibrancy in spades.
Always something going on in Charlotte as well. Again, we're in Hickory. It's a short drive to Charlotte. We visit regularly. We plan to do all the things that we can. Our days fill up very quickly. I'll admit we probably eat a few cheese sandwiches and go cheap for breakfast, but we do save up for the big night out at Supperland or, LaLuya Hall or someplace like that. And I know that, as I mentioned a couple of these names, the Tony Dandel Brown group, as well as Built on Hospitality with the Goodyear House and the things they've got going on, there seem to be a lot of multi-site restaurant groups kind of building amongst the legacy Charlotte restaurant groups. Talk about maybe how they work together to rise that tide.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's what we want to see, right? We want to help Chris Coleman from Built on Hospitality open his next concept, his next 2-3 concepts, because we know the caliber and the quality that is delivered with those people who have invested in our city time and time again. And so it's a sense of pride whenever we see that happen. Very much the same with Jamie Brown and Jeff Tony Dandel. When we get to see that they open a concept like LaLuya Hall and what they're doing with the Leaper Wyatt building next door that they moved, it's just such a point of pride for us, right? Because we know those restaurants are exceptional. Obviously, the accolades show it too, whether it's Bon Appetit or Southern Living, you name it. So for us, when we get to see and experience those restaurants and show them off to, top tier media that are coming through, sales clients who are bringing huge events like PGA Championship or potential for, NFL events or All-Star Game, things like that, we're taking them to those spots because they really, really shine.
So now talking about shining, I saw the term Charlotte as Diet Atlanta, and you mentioned Charleston as one of those competing communities. Where does Charlotte measure up compared to some of our metros, not just in the region, but in the state? Columbia and Greenville and South Carolina, or Raleigh and Durham just down the road a piece here in our own North Carolina state. Where does Charlotte fit into all that?
It's so true. Well, it definitely takes the whole Southeast and all of those flavors that have really, founded a uber rich food culture, right? A lot of meat and threes, pork and poultry. But I think what Charlotte kind of brings to the table that I think is extra, extra special is our location in North Carolina's Piedmont and the agriculture that we have so graciously been offered in our region. Because when you look at the ability to have a 10-month growing season with some of these amazing farms, it really influences our plates all year round and offers those seasonal ingredients that you may not get in other parts of the Southeast. But because that terroir of the Piedmont is so rich and really offers that growing season and the just amazing caliber of farms around, we have a leg up when it comes to a lot of that, I like to think. And then also, when we have things like our mill heritage, our textile mill heritage here in Charlotte, I think that's really influenced the food scene too, and what you see and get to taste, whether it is, those specialties and pork and poultry, but things like pickling and really understanding how to best use those seasonal ingredients. I think that does get, it is what's best about Charlotte. And I think it is something that we have an edge on when it comes to the Southeast as a whole.
Yeah, a really important point there. You don't have to drive very far outside of City Center or uptown Charlotte to find north, south, east, or west people that are growing things or land that's arable and ready to be grown. And as we've talked with these pit masters and chefs over the 4 or 5 years we've been doing this, they're all buying into using that locally sourced produce and the goods to try to keep that sustainable cycle alive. We're supporting all those numbers that you included for the restaurant industry. once you add sort of the growing economy and the agriculture outside that, that helps the larger state economy at large. So really cool to see you bring that out. I want to bring out more about charlottesgotalot.com. I know that's kind of where Savor's anchored, and Savor's a piece of that, but tell us a little bit more about what the broader scheme is there for that website and all the cool stuff happening in Charlotte.
Absolutely. That is what we're here for, right? We are a 4-season city. I think where Charlotte has grown, we're not just kind of a shoulder season destination in the spring and fall to go have a weekend getaway. You look at that events calendar on Charlotte's Got a Lot, there is something happening every week and weekend of the year. We're a 4-season city that we have really grown into, 6th fastest growing city in the US. And I think that population boom and that quality of life boom has just added so much richness and uniqueness to arts and culture, live music, culinary, all of the like that really create a great experience here.
So look forward. I know we got Savor going on here through the end of March. What are you looking forward to? What should people be looking forward to as we look into the spring and summer around Charlotte this year?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm going to say the Carolina Barbecue Festival.
Of course.
Because that is such a fantastic festival. It's such a great experience because all of the purveyors are so unique and, and local to the region, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, because it's the Carolina Barbecue Festival, but just the ability to really kind of get to enjoy the spring season and get to walk around and sample so many different flavors and sauces. It's really, really special. And that also takes place during Charlotte Shout, which is our big cultural festival here in town that encompasses culinary too. So a lot of live music. We have things like Gospel Shout that are even kind of intertwined with Charlotte Shout. So that spring time frame, especially Easter and right after, I think that's where Charlotte really shines. It's my favorite season for sure.
Yeah, and Charlotte's got her fancy dress on with all the flowers blooming and the spring colors. Forget the Bradford pears. We want the dogwoods and the cherry blossoms and the tulips and the red buds and all that good stuff. So, yes, a wonderful time to be here in the Carolinas, especially around Charlotte. So, Laura, you've been generous with your time. We've talked about the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority and Savor and food and all that good stuff. What's something that's important to you, maybe that you'd like to talk about that you would like our audience to know?
Oh, yes. Well, I mentioned earlier that we had the great privilege of hosting season 23 of Top Chef.
Yeah.
And that is off and running as of this past Monday, this past week. So I would just encourage you to see Charlotte's starring role in Top Chef this season, Mondays at 9:30. It's also streaming on Peacock every week. And we really have a huge role. You're going to see us in 10, 11 episodes roughly. You're going to see a lot of our great chefs and a lot of our great ingredients, a lot of great locations. And so it's definitely worth checking out. We are so, so proud that Charlotte was able to host season 23.
What's it take to try to get that level of big national TV attention here on our city?
Oh, it takes a year and a half of hard work and showing off everything Charlotte has to offer. I remember we did this amazing site visit during one of the nights that we had some of these producers in town, and we called it a barbecue summit. And so we were able to have about 7 purveyors across the state come in and really teach about the history and heritage of barbecue. We had the editor from Southern Living, barbecue editor from Southern Living who helped us out too. And so that was a lot of fun. So something as epic as Top Chef requires a lot of creativity coming into the fold and a lot of people coming together to make it happen.
Yeah, that's a nice kind of peek behind the scenes there. Any other secrets you can share? We like to do that on this podcast. Anything you could tell us about what we can see on Top Chef that maybe we don't already know?
Well, you may be seeing a really fantastic barbecue themed episode coming up here in April. So stay tuned for that. But we're excited to showcase obviously our role in it as a city and some of the great talent that you can expect to see maybe in this episode as well.
Yeah, can't wait to see that in April. I'll mark my calendar. Laura, you've been generous with your time. As we wrap it up here, maybe tell us what keeps your fire burning. I can hear the passion for the city and everything that's going on. What keeps you doing it?
Oh, man. We use this quote around our office about how Charlotte is like a kaleidoscope. You shift your perspective ever so slightly and you're going to see something new. And it just rings true when I come to work every single day and think about, what we're going to dig into, what we're going to promote next. I think the people are at the heart of this city and what gives it its soul. And a lot of that is these culinarians, these amazing brewers, bakers, pitmasters, chefs, you name it. And we love, love, love to promote it. So we're just so excited that Charlotte is having its day in the sun when it comes to food.
And that, my friends, is the final word from Laura White, Chief Brand and Strategy Officer for Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, which brings us Savor Charlotte and all the cool things to do in the Queen City and charlottesgotalot.com. Laura, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Look forward to seeing you at the festival.
Absolutely. You've been listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Carolina Barbecue Festival, April 17th and 18th at Victoria Yards in Uptown Charlotte. Reserve your tickets for the festival at carolinabbqfest.org. Be sure to use promo code Low and Slow. You'll get a discount. To our audience, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. If you like what you hear, share our podcast with your food-loving friends and give us a 5-star rating at your favorite stream. You can also visit lowslowbbqshow.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast and find other podcast interviews with pitmasters and chefs participating in the barbecue brunch and this year's barbecue festival. We've got a blog there with lots of festival and event details. And of course, if you sign up for a weekly newsletter, we'll deliver the latest Carolina barbecue news, fundraisers, food truck schedules, all that to your email inbox on Tuesdays. Just sign up for the newsletter at lowslowbbqshow.com. The Low and Slow Barbecue Show is proud to be part of the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. That's where Andrew Moose is our expert producer. He keeps us sounding good and makes sure our interviews get delivered right to your ears and eyeballs, both here and on our YouTube channel. For the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, I'm Chigger Willard, reminding you that for the best barbecue and the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.